the lotus. Its roots are deep in the mud. Long time ago, along the Gangetic plain, Gautama the Buddha came to Savatthi and found the town deserted. Shops locked, houses closed, and streets empty. The Buddha was seeking food for his midday meal. He knocked at the door of a devoted disciple, the lady Nandini, who looked out of a window anxiously. Seeing the Buddha, she hurriedly unlocked the door and urged him to come inside. As soon as he was in, she bolted the door again. The Buddha was bemused. "What's the matter?" asked the Buddha. "I see fear in your face. Why are the streets empty of people?" "Don't you know, my lord," said Nandini, "a man known as Angulimala has been terrorizing the town and murdering people." She took a deep breath. She felt worried that the Buddha, unaware and vulnerable, was going about the town without protection. What would happen if Angulimala met the Buddha? Nandini shivered at the thought. "Who is Angulimala?" asked the Buddha. "He wears the necklace, Mala, made of human fingers, Anguli, and so he has become known as Angulimala. He's merciless. He's murdering men for their fingers. He's strong, skilled and daring, and he's cunning. He has destroyed villages and towns. Everyone is frightened of him." A profound look of seriousness appeared on the face of the Buddha. He remained silent and thoughtful. Nandini gave the Buddha a bowl of rice soaked with mango juice and honey. But her thoughts were not on food. She was thinking of Angulimala. "Please stay here," Nandini begged the Buddha. "Do not go out alone. It is dangerous." "But my disciples wait for me in the Jeta Grove. I must go." "No, not to the Jeta Grove. In the forest between here and the Jeta Grove hides Angulimala. Please do not go, my lord, at least not through that forest. Angulimala will know no difference between the compassionate Buddha and an ordinary mortal. Take no such risk. He is a wanted criminal. There is a reward of 1,000 gold coins on his head." Nandini, the Buddha has no fear of death. And the Buddha does not change his plans out of fear. The rice soaked in mango juice was truly nourishing. I am satisfied. Thank you for your gracious gift. The Buddha turned towards the locked door, but Nandini was reluctant to let him go. Please, my lord, please listen. Do not approach Angulimala. He is very dangerous. Gracious Nandini, trust the Buddha. He is fully aware of what he's doing. Free yourself from fear. But I fear for your life, illustrious one. Life lived in fear is no life. It might be the job of the king to kill the criminals, but the calling of the Buddha is to transform them, to awaken them and liberate them from ignorance. So Nandini, do not dissuade me from my duty. But believe me, my lord, Angulimala is beyond the pale, Nandini pleaded. Sweet Nandini, I understand your concerns, but understand that my love, my friendship, and my compassion are not limited to those who are already in agreement with me. I must reach out to the ones who are possessed with anger and ignorance. Healing the wounded soul is my vocation. I am not worried about my life or my death. I am worried about Angulimala. To Nandini, the innocence of the Buddha bordered on naivety. While she was thinking of ways to dissuade him from confronting Angulimala, she heard his final words. Nandini, I am happy to die, if that is what it takes to save Angulimala. With shaking hands, Nandini unlocked the door. Yet she was still afraid. She imagined the fingers of the Buddha hanging from Angulimala's neck and shivered at the thought. Be careful, my lord. Be very careful. Go well. The Buddha raised his hand in blessing and walked calmly on his way. Soon he left the town behind. The Buddha followed the path to the Jeta Grove through the fields, alone, unhindered, and undisturbed, deep into the cool of the woods. Of the trees, the Buddha's steps were the only sound, and the only man to hear them was Angulimala. He wondered, what is this sound? Who is walking? Who dares to come and invade my territory? In the distance, he saw a figure in a yellow robe moving slowly. Angulimala shook his head in disbelief and looked again. The moving figure was coming towards him. Feeling happy, Angulimala grabbed his sword and stood up. Aha! I am going to get 10 new fingers for my necklace without much effort, he said to himself. He brandished his sword and moved towards the approaching figure. Seeing his furious face, the Buddha realized that this must be Angulimala. The Buddha smiled and kept moving. Angulimala was amazed. He had never encountered a person who was not afraid of him and who did not run away from him. Doesn't this ignorant fool know who I am? Soon he will know, Angulimala murmured. Within seconds, he heard a sweet voice calling, Angulimala, Angulimala, Angulimala. How puzzling. He obviously knows me, knows my name, and yet, who are you? Why aren't you running away from me? Don't you know that I am going to kill you without blinking an eye and thread your fingers onto my necklace? Yes. Yes, I know who you are. But do you know that I can be killed without blinking an eye? I am always ready to die. Dying harms no one, but killing. How do you feel about killing others, Angulimala? Have you looked deeply into your feelings about killing? The Buddha looked at the man in front of him. Blood was still dripping from some of the fingers on his necklace. His blood-stained clothes and sweating body gave off a disturbing smell. Aggression emanated from his heavy black moustache and beard and his long matted hair. His strong and fearsome appearance would have driven away most mortals, but the Buddha stood like a rock. I know you can kill me, and maybe you will. But when you kill none other than yourself. For I am none other than you, and you are none other than me. And whatever you do to me, you do to yourself, Angulimala. Let me tell you one thing. You are capable not only of killing, you are also capable of loving. You are capable of compassion. You are capable of change. You are capable of friendship. I have no friends. But I am your friend, Angulimala. That is why I have come here, to see you and speak to you. Angulimala trembled, listening to these words. You, my friend? I've given up on all friendships. I have abandoned the world. The Buddha was pleased. Angulimala was talking, using his tongue rather than his sword. Why have you abandoned the world, Angulimala? Because the world abandoned me. Why did the world abandon you? Because my village abandoned me. Why did your village abandon you? Because my family abandoned me. Why did your family abandon you? Because my mother abandoned me. Why did your mother abandon you, Angulimala? Because she followed my father. She loved me, and yet she abandoned me. Because my father abandoned me. Why did your father abandon you? Because I disagreed with him, I disobeyed him, I rebelled against him. I wanted to stand up for myself and follow my own path, but he would not let me. One day I hit him. I was angry with him. Angulimala, were you so overcome with anger that you saw yourself separate from your father? Was this feeling of separation the cause of the quarrel between you and your father? Is it not true, Angulimala, that before you abandoned your father, you abandoned your sense of connection? And is it not true then that you yourself are the cause of all abandonment? I am your friend, Angulimala, and I want to help you to recognize the cause of your pain and your problems, to recognize your sorrow and suffering, and to recognize that there is no one else responsible for your actions other than yourself. Angulimala found himself speechless. No one had ever confronted him like this. Angulimala remembered his childhood, one of deprivation. He remembered the days when he was humiliated by the high-caste youngsters, when his father was despised and denounced by men of superior birth. At the time, he knew of no other way to deal with his anger than to take it out on his father. But what could his father do? Poor man, he was also a victim of his birth and circumstances. For Angulimala to blame his father and his family was no solution to the conditions of his community. He wished he had met earlier a man like this monk, this Buddha, who was able to listen and to guide him out of this lonely battle against himself. After a few moments of reflection, he said, I have never thought of my life in this way. When I abandoned my home, I did so in search of freedom and dignity for myself, for my family, and for my people. I met a magician, a dispenser of power, which, he said, presides on the edge of the sword. I said to him, I want to be powerful. What shall I do? In response, the shaman put a charm on this sword and gave it to me. He said, if you kill 100 people with this sword and wear a garland of 1,000 fingers, you will be able to impose your will upon others, and you will rule the world. Since then, I have been on a mission to kill, to make myself invincible. Now, you come along and tell me something completely different. Are you a shaman? I want you to find power within yourself. That inner power is greater than the power of the sword. You and your people suffer because the king and the caste-ridden society impose power over you. Now you wish to impose your power over others. You have a love of power as strong as that of your enemies. Try the power of love. The power of the self is greater than the power of the sword. The power of love grows from within, whereas the power of the sword is imposed from without. Like a tree grows from a seed, the power of love grows from the self. Seek your power within and be your own light. Angulimala found himself perplexed. The power of the sword is immediate and clear. I know nothing about the power of the self. The Buddha smiled at Angulimala's apparent confusion. The power of the sword is dependent on the weakness, submission, and powerlessness of others. The power of love empowers everyone. It is self-organizing and self-sustaining. All beings, human and other than human, are naturally equipped with this intrinsic power. And it is released through the relationship of mutuality, reciprocity, friendship, and love. All efforts of control over or conflict with others end in tears, frustration, disappointment, or war. But why should I believe you? How do I know that what you say is true? I say this to you, Angulimala, because I have experienced it. How have you experienced it? What makes you so fearless that you're not afraid of anything? That you are able to come to me knowing that I may kill you? Who are you? I am the awakened one. I am the Buddha. From which sleep are you awakened? From the sleep of separation, of ignorance, of anguish. From the sleep of wishing to control others, to have power over others. I was born a prince, with plenty of palaces, 1,000 horses, 1,000 elephants, 1,000 soldiers, 1,000 servants. I could have been a king. I could have conquered neighboring nations and become an emperor. Then what happened? Then one day, I went out of my palace and I saw a sick man. I saw an old man, and I saw a dead man. And I realized that in spite of my palaces, my soldiers, and my diamonds, I could not escape from sickness, nor from old age, nor from death. So like you, Angulimala, I too abandoned my father my mother, my wife, my child, my kingdom, but not in anger, not to seek power over others, but to realize the power within, the power of the Spirit, the power of love and compassion, the power of friendship. How can you be a friend of someone who is about to kill you? I am the friend of everyone. I am not a prophet. I am not a guru. I am not a saint. I am a friend of all living beings, a friend of all people, all humans, irrespective of their qualities, their wealth, their status, their caste. I am a friend of those who are considered to be good, but I am also a friend of those who are condemned as bad. I particularly enjoy being a friend to those who are deprived, excluded, and poor. It is easy to be a friend of the great and the good, but I cherish friendship with those who are labelled as murderers, terrorists, and criminals. I want to console them. They are not bad. They are just asleep, ignorant, and disconnected. Friendship is the way of connecting and waking up. But I find it hard to be a friend to those who exercise power over me. I feel angry. That is why I have come to you, Angulimala. I want to hold your hand. Will you come with me? I will take you across the river of sorrow and suffering. I will take you to the shore of liberation. I want you to know that your anguish can end, that your anger and alienation is not forever. Change is the eternal law of life. Will you embrace transformation? You can have my head and my 10 fingers, or you can have all of me and my friendship. The choice is yours. This is the moment of decision. These challenging words were unbearable. The sword had already dropped from Angulimala's hand. He began to sob. He could not understand how this high-caste prince could listen to somebody born into a low caste, committing the sin of killing every day. He wondered, how can this son of a king, this high priest of religion, talk to me and offer friendship to me when he knows that any association with me can only bring him trouble? Full of doubts, Angulimala stood there confused. The Buddha's soothing words of peace, his deep eyes, full of promise and longing, shook Angulimala to the core. He was touched by the presence of the Buddha, as if under a magic spell. As the hesitant Angulimala stood there in stunned silence, he saw the Buddha turning around and moving away. As the Buddha started to walk away, Angulimala picked up his sword and followed. His body moved, even though his mind was still uncertain. The Buddha walked faster, and Angulimala increased his pace to catch up with the Buddha, but could not. Then he ran. He thought, I used to be able to catch a galloping horse or a running deer, but I am now unable to catch up with this monk who appears to be walking at his normal pace. What is the matter with me? Stop, monk! Stop! Don't leave me behind! I have stopped, Angulimala. I stopped ages ago. But have you? And will you? While you are walking faster than me, you say that you have stopped. What do you mean? How have you stopped when you are still moving? I stopped a long time ago. It is you who have not stopped. I stopped trampling over other people. I stopped desiring to control and dominate people. But you think freedom lies in killing and overpowering others. True stopping is to stop interfering in other people's lives for your own ends. You are rebelling against the oppression of others, but you yourself are oppressive. You are frightening and terrorizing towns and villages. How can terror bring freedom? Human beings do not love each other. The rich are cruel to the poor. The higher castes are vicious and deceitful to the lower castes. Why should I love them? I will not stop until I have killed them all. Angulimala, I know that you have suffered at the hands of the higher caste, the rich and powerful. There is cruelty in the world. But cruelty cannot be dissolved in cruelty. Oppression cannot be ended by oppression. Fire cannot be put out with more fire. Try to overcome cruelty with compassion, hatred with love, and injustice with forgiveness. Stop traveling on the road of hatred and violence. That is true stopping. Stopping leads to calming. Calming to resting. Resting to healing. Healing of self, as well as healing of others. The Buddha looked into Angulimala's eyes and said, "You are deluding yourself. If you think that once you have killed 100 people and taken control over other people's lives, you will be happy. Are you happy now?" "No, I am not happy." Then how can you predict that you will be happy in the future when you are sowing the seeds of unhappiness in the present? How can you sow thistles and expect roses? Now is the time to live fully and live in happiness. Happiness is born of kindness. When you are kind, you are happy. And when you are happy, you are kind. The Buddha's words penetrated deeply into Angulimala's heart. never met a man who looks, speaks and smiles like that, he thought. He realized the futility of his ways, the futility of killing and violence, the futility of power. He looked at his predicament, and it was miserable. He reflected on his past, and it was confused. If I reject the help, the advice and friendship of the Buddha, and go on with my killing spree, what will I really achieve? Angulimala asked himself. It was a moment of reckoning, a moment of self-realization and enlightenment. The Buddha looked into Angulimala's eyes as if asking, "Choose, Angulimala, choose. Either you kill me or you surrender to me. The choice is yours." There was a sudden breakthrough. Angulimala forced his sword into the ground, wrenched off the finger necklace, pulled out the sword from the earth, and with a few quick stabs dug a hole with its broad blade. Then he pushed the necklace into the hole and buried it in the soil. Here you are, away with the necklace, away with the sword, away with violence. I have stopped. The Buddha watched Angulimala's actions in amazement. He had seen many warriors, courtiers, noblemen, queens and kings undergo a change of heart, but never had he witnessed such a rapid transformation. I see, Angulimala, I see. Now you have stopped. The Buddha smiled. With his necklace, Angulimala had also left behind his anger, like a snake shedding its old skin. Then they walked together in utter silence through the peaceful forest. Birds were singing, angels were smiling. The pair came to a pond filled with lotus flowers. The Buddha stood still, picked one lotus and held it up in front of Angulimala. Look at this lotus. Its roots are deep in the mud, but the flower is always above the water. However much rain comes, the flower shakes it off. The lotus is soft, gentle, pleasing, beautiful, and friendly. We too can be like a lotus if we embrace its qualities. Its roots are deep in the mud. But Angulimala took hold of the Buddha's left hand and pressed it firmly. This was a sign, and the Buddha understood it. Angulimala had decided to follow the Buddha all the way to the Jeta grove. Angulimala, as you were the cause of your suffering, you are also the key to your happiness, your source of joy. Inner power gives you peace, which is enduring. I can see peace in your eyes, Angulimala. I have seen many people change and transform, but you are very special. Transformation has happened to you instantly. The moment I saw you, I felt a connection with you. And now, I see myself connected to the whole universe.